my favorite times were when I was just like freaking going wild, you know, and putting in extra time.
Yeah.
You know, people don't like the job. Well, it's because you're not putting in enough time. A lot of people want to, you know, if they're struggling, they want to like take a break from the job when it's like, if you actually put more time into it, funnily enough, you'll stop struggling.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Door-to-Door podcast. This is going to be a good one for you guys. As you can see from the camera here, we actually have an in-person podcast today. It's nice for me because I'm so used to having to stare past that camera at that TV on the Zoom calls, but it's nice to have an in-person guest today. Welcome to the show, Mr. Andy Holmes.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, dude. We were chatting a little bit offline for the podcast. Sounds like you've got a cool story. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I would say it's a cool story, but it's a little all over the place.
Yeah, it's cool. The door-to-door industry is like that, though. I feel like seldom nowadays. I mean, you still meet it where it's just like a very, what would be the term? Just not fluid, but just like of course type of a story where it's just like started here, and 10 years later, still here, whatever the case is. But it sounds like we have similarities where we've seen and done a lot. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited to hear about it. But for our listeners who may not know who you are, why don't you give us just like a background, who you are, where you come from, how you got in the industry. It's a big one.
Yeah.
I love the recruiting stories. If you've got a good one, some people have some funny.
No, I don't have a great one, but yeah, I'll kind of give the quick overview of, you know, who I am, where I've been, what I've done kind of thing.
Sure, yeah.
So like who is Andy Holmes? First off, husband, have an amazing wife, father of 3, soon to be 4.
Ooh, congrats.
2 weeks from now.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a little crazy. But yeah, I did 6 years of pest control. My recruiting story was my older brothers had sold, and I heard that my oldest brother made like 93 or 94K in a summer while I was on my mission. And I was just like, okay, well, I was trying to think of how I could be an entrepreneur and make 12 or 15 bucks an hour, you know, because this was 10 years ago, you know, when you still expected minimum wage, you know? So anyways, he was just graduating college, and I wasn't sure if he was going to sell again, but I knew I wanted to. And he'd run all 4 years at Altera. And so long story short, he got into being a loan officer. Nice. And I got into pest control. And
fresh off the mission?
Yeah, I got home in July. So I didn't go right out. I got home in July, met my wife in October, got engaged in, you know, a few months later, got married right before the summer, you know. So within a year of being home from my mission, I had met, married, and gotten pregnant my wife, who was just out of high school.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So my oldest my oldest shares a birthday with my wife. She is 20 years to the day older than my oldest Dawson.
That's crazy. Dawson's his name?
Yeah.
It's a good name.
Yeah. So had he came a day earlier, she would have been a teenage mom. But anyways, it's actually kind of interesting because that actually plays a big part into my story. Okay? Absolutely. Because what was really interesting is, like, I was good my first year. I did 227 accounts. That was back before we counted like revenue, right? Yeah. But then had a baby, you know, knew I need to grow up a tiny bit. I was still pretty young. Okay. But the problem was, like, I wanted to build these massive teams, and I wanted to be big into recruiting, and I saw the vision, right? But I was recent, like I had a young kid, okay? And so when you're married with a young kid, who do you hang out with? Married people with young kids, right? And all of those people were older. They were outside of the normal door-to-door range, right? Yep. And so it was hard because, like, I'd want to recruit, you know, single return missionaries, like, but I served in a foreign country, so I didn't, you know, that made it a little harder. I couldn't just recruit all my companions.
Where'd you go, by the way?
Peru.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyways, it made it hard because recruiting wasn't natural because of where I was in life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you were like a few steps ahead of everyone else your age.
You could call it a few steps ahead, but I would just say I was just in a different stage. You know what I'm saying? And so, I would try to recruit. I'd bring out, a handful of guys, 10 guys. And I mean, it would go well. And then, I don't know. It just, I never really figured out the whole recruiting thing. Okay. And so I was in pest control. I was at Aptive for 6 years. And I love Aptive. Those guys are amazing. Okay. Like honestly, some of the people I respect most are still at Aptive. Okay. Which is interesting because I'm president of sales of a competitor now. And so I've heard my name get dragged through the mud,
Sure.
That, my 1 year of not great retention, I'm sure they bring up, but they also don't bring up all my years of good retention. But anyways, but yeah, I didn't see a future in pest control, if I'm being honest.
Really?
So yeah, I hit 2 golden doors in pest control. I was actually on the podcast 5 or 6 years ago in 2019.
Wow.
I think it dropped in like October. So anyone who wants to go back and listen, I was a crazy kid, like control the controllables, outwork everybody, believe it, want it more. And that's how I did it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because that's replicable.
Totally.
I wasn't the most talented, but you don't have to be the most talented to succeed. And so anyways, I just didn't see a path in pest control because I didn't want to have to move with, at that point, 2 kids.
Sure.
And we were trying for baby number 3. And so, I was like, hey, pest control isn't the spot because I can't keep knocking every single summer. And so I thought, hey, solar, because you can blitz,
totally.
Right? And so the thought,
that's probably around the time the blitz model was really popping off in the solar industry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So it was end of 2021, beginning of 2022. And I almost left at the end of 2020 after my second golden door. But, Aptive saved me. They did something crazy and it made sense to stay another year.
Sure.
But I just realized like, hey, I could stay for another year and I could stay for another year, but I didn't have like a 5-year plan. And so I was like, dude, let's get into solar, because in solar, even if I blitzed 1 week a month, I was still living at home. I didn't have to take my family away.
Totally.
Right. And so I did the solar thing. I hit a golden door my very first summer and I became a corporate trainer at Aptive Solar or Ambia Solar. Okay. And then I sold enough for a golden door my next year. I did this and in that time I started a podcast called the Summer Sales Podcast. So go check that out. But yeah, I got into solar and I got in at an interesting time because when I joined, interest rates were 1.49.
Yep.
Good leap, it was just easy. And then things got harder and harder and harder. I got to a point where, Ambia was trying to make smart business decisions and start trying to spend less, because that's just being a smart business.
Right. But
I didn't see my future there either. And so I actually went to Lumio Solar for 2.5 months. I was really good friends with the chief sales officer, got hired on as the VP of sales development. And it was, it was really exciting. And then it was really hard because there were some personalities over there that, felt like I had done them wrong over the years, because they didn't get as big of a back end as they thought, which was more of a retention thing and not a me thing. But
totally.
I won't go into too many details there. But yeah, Lumio ended up, I was sold a vision that wasn't sell. And so long story short, I had a month of trying to figure things out. I thought to myself, if I'm going to be a corporate trainer, or if I'm going to be in the training realm of door-to-door, pest control makes more sense because pest control is more predictable. I hated being a corporate trainer in solar and having to ask this rookie who's been selling for 3 days about their utility company and the buyback rate and the this and the that. Totally. And, how many, are there limitations where if it's, above 11.8 kilowatts, they need extra insurance or something, you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And so I was like, dude, maybe I do get back into pest control. And I reached out to some connections I had in the pest control industry. And, some of them were trying to sell, so they weren't trying to mess with their books by hiring somebody on. And I met with Sam and he was like, dude, I actually have this small little pest control company who has some investors who are looking to make a wave in the industry. And they just bought in some small mom and pop companies and they were like, hey, there was 6 from one company and 13 reps from another. And it was in August or end of July, beginning of August. And Sam was like, hey, these guys want a door-to-door expert or a golden door to come blow their minds for a few days. Yeah. So that way these guys can see, And sorry if I'm going into too much detail.
No, you're great. Keep it going.
But yeah, anyways, Sam was like, dude, Andy, how about you go out? And I went out and I met with a small company, and it was crazy because the way that they were making decisions didn't make sense. Why were they getting such a crazy call center? And why were they paying tens of thousands of dollars for me to come out and visit? Like, it felt like they were making bad business decisions, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then I heard about the investors, and I heard about these companies that they were buying and the aspirations and like, you know, some of the accomplishments and just like the backing that they had. And I realized like, dude, I've got to find a way to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. Right. And so long story short, you know, we talked over the next week and a half. They ended up extending me an offer to be president of sales, and I took it. And I was supposed to be in charge of like all things training. Someone else was supposed to be in charge of recruiting. We were actually, you know, pulling a few people over from some other companies. And long story short, we decided not to have those people. And so, yeah, dude, basically I started recruiting in November, and we recruited probably, I think we signed somewhere over 500 reps from when I started recruiting.
That's big time.
Dude,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it was like November to April. We recruited like over 100 people a month or signed, right?
That's crazy.
And obviously not all those people showed up and not all those people finished, you know. But, you know, in all reality, we probably had, you know, right around, you know, 200 people, 210 finish, you know. And so, dude, it has been a hell of a year. Sorry for going into so much freaking detail, but yeah, I went from sales rep, didn't want to recruit, hated recruiting, to all of a sudden recruiting being my passion and my joy and my headache, you know? But dude, yeah, holy moly, that was probably like a 5-minute response.
No,
probably a 10-minute response. I thought it was going to be like 45 seconds.
No, you're good. A lot of unpack there, and I have lots of questions. But while we're on the topic of recruiting, what clicked for you? What switched? Someone who didn't like doing it, didn't see much success, and now you're just recruiting huge volumes for ProForce.
Yeah, I think there's a few things, okay? And I think the biggest thing is, I mean, there's timing. Timing's one of them.
Huge.
And I'll touch on that for sure. I also think it's just like alignment with what I'm wanting versus what a company wants. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
You know, like when I'm recruiting from a lot of other companies, for example, you know, you can call it a pitch, but like the reality is like a lot of companies, they have goals that are different from like that individual rep, right?
Yep.
Let's say that a company's been around for 10 or 20 years, right? Are they in massive growth mode? Or are they in, hey, how can we become more profitable so that way we can, you know, have some kind of transaction? You know, even if they just recently had one, you know, when private equity comes in, they want to have another one within 3 to 5 years, right? Yeah. And so it's like, kind of what I talk about is like, you know, just human nature, you know, like if you're wanting to be a bodybuilder, and you got to choose your age, you'd probably choose somewhere between 20 and 25. Yeah. You know, why? Totally. Nature's working with you.
Yeah, totally.
You're not having to go against, you know, what's just natural, right? And then, so I see these big hitters at some other companies and their company is putting on, you know, restrictions, or they're doing this or they're doing that. And it's like, they're making claims that they're wanting to grow, but their decision-making is showing the opposite.
Totally.
They're trying to become more profitable. They're trying to make it more difficult, right? Which makes a ton of sense for the company, and they're making the right move. But Mr. Sales Rep, you're not trying to get your 10 or 15,000 steps a day. You're not trying to like watch your calorie count, you know, you're trying to bulk.
Totally.
The company's already bulked and now it's starting to try to cut.
Exactly.
But
that's a good metaphor.
If you're trying to bulk, then why are you at a company that's trying to trim down, right? And so that's when, that's kind of where, you know, timing comes into it. Because like, you know, the cool thing with ProForce and the reason why it's been so easy to recruit to is because like, what do reps want? Most reps, they want growth. They want stability. You know, they want to make a lot of money, right? You know, make a lot of money. We have awesome pay scales. Okay. Growth. Okay. Like, dude, my very first house, like I've done really well in real estate, not because I'm like all that great, but just because I've had a couple things going for me. Okay. And actually I want to change this ever so slightly. Okay. And I want to say, the most successful people in door-to-door have the same two things in common, okay? And so anyone who's listening, or Hunter, even you, I want you to think about some of the most successful people in door-to-door. Like, just have a couple names in your head, okay? They all have the same two things in common. Number one is talent. They're extremely talented, okay? And number two is timing. They had amazing timing.
Nailed it, yeah.
Dude, had they shown up at their company 3 years or 5 years later, the names that you just had in your head probably wouldn't have been half as successful.
Totally.
Right?
100%.
And so I'm thinking back, like in real estate, my first house I bought for $400,000. I put 10% down, that's $40,000, right? Now, 7 years later, it's worth $800,000.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of talent. I had to qualify.
Totally.
I had to have the down payment, right? So the talent was getting the $40,000, right? But the reason I've been so successful is because it's doubled in price.
Totally.
Now my $40,000 is worth $500,000. So yes, there was talent, but there was also timing.
100%.
And so, that's kind of, I realized that. I realized, in solar, a little bit more of like the recruiting story, how to connect and like not be so forceful, if that makes sense. But also, I'm benefiting from that.
Totally.
I have a tiny bit of talent, and I have, the timing with ProForce, like, make money, stability, all that. Like, dude, we have 10 billionaires. Dude, our stability is pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just in Vegas this week because we need to go visit where we're doing our prize pickup. It's the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. It's a $4 billion hotel. Our investors own it.
No way.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. And so it's crazy because it's like, I'm getting way too far into the weeds, dude.
No, it's
but
very interesting. It's like, it is, I was reflecting back on my career when you were speaking. And I was like, oh my God, I can remember a time when obviously like when we were chatting before the podcast about like getting in, or maybe it was during the podcast, it was just like, you wanted all the things, you wanted to grow, you saw the vision. I did too, but a lot of things just weren't clicking in those early years. But there was a time when I just felt like at the company I was at, my recruiting abilities led to 38% of the total sales volume. And it just came so easily.
Yeah.
So easily. And I was thinking about that and I was like, timing. It was timing. It was what the general consensus, the population, the sales reps in that vicinity wanted, aligned with where we were at as a company, and the decisions that were being made, like you were mentioning in the back end, aligned with the reps. And it was like this uniform kind of a thing. And so like bringing people on, not just like, Indeed recruits, but like high level leaders with teams, like easy. Yeah. It was seamless. And I was like, why was that? His timing,
dude. And like, what's interesting is like just this last week, this golden door from another company, he's been there for 7 years. He doesn't have any recruits. And he's like, dude, I just got a house. Like, we've got I've got 3 summers left max. I'd prefer it to be like 1 or 2, but then I've got to do something else. I don't know if it's insurance. I don't know if it's whatever, but like I've never been big into recruiting. And I'm just like, dude, that resonates so freaking hard just because it's like, dude, what's interesting, and this is, I don't want to like step on any toes or anything like that, but like if you're a rep or if you're a leader and like if what you want does not align with what the company wants, and I'm not just saying what the company says, the company's going to say, oh, we're the best, or we're the best, best at training, blah, 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 blah. We want to grow, but like, if the decisions and the policies that are being put in place, like say differently, then you're going to be held back.
100%.
You're the bodybuilder who's, 60 or 70.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting because I was like, dude, like, and this isn't a pitch for ProForce, but I was like, dude, come over here. You're a golden door. I could recruit to you so easy. Everybody reaches out to me. Like, I need a place to put them. I'm the president of sales. I can't have, I have regionals reporting to me. I can't have, like a single rep here and there.
Right.
And so I was like, dude, we could easily build you a team. Like, we could get you off the doors within 1 or 2 years. Like, anyways, like there's a lot of things that, that do benefit from just like being aligned with the company.
It's so important. Besides from that, because that's super important. What would your advice be to anyone that's kind of in the mode of wanting to build and recruit? Besides the timing and alignment with the organization you're at, what would it be another?
Yeah. So this is actually an interesting one. I'm a big believer in those who deserve to win are those who win. Okay. And the reason why I say that is like, the reason I hit my first golden door was because I knocked so many freaking doors.
Yeah.
Right. Like I wanted it so much more. Right. Like the people who treat this job like it's a $500K a year job are also the people who end up making $500K a year in this job.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people like, they want to recruit, they want to do this, they want to do that. But it's like, like if you were to put like a dollar amount or a salary amount, like how hard do most people have to work to make $250,000 or $500,000 in a year? And like, dude, it's crazy, right? So doesn't that mean that you should probably be working and doing these things like a ridiculous amount in order to make that amount of money? Like chances are anyone listening, they can look at what they're doing and realize that they're not as focused, not as dialed. They're, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And so therefore it's like, you probably don't deserve to hit your goals. And so therefore you probably won't.
Absolutely. You have to be deserving of it and put in that effort and that energy. You got to put it out there if you're going to get it first. That's like a prerequisite. Yeah. Totally agree. Mark your calendars and grab your tickets because we are back on January 22nd through the 24th, 2026 in Salt Lake City, Utah. 3 days where industry legends, top CEOs, and breakthrough innovators gather to share the strategies shaping our industry. Witness the prestigious Golden Door Awards honoring the elite performers who've achieved what others only dream of. Network with over 2,800 door-to-door professionals across all industries ranging from solar, roofing, fiber, alarms, pest control, HVAC, and beyond. Founded by Sam Taggart, this is where careers are transformed and million-dollar connections are made. Visit d2dcon.com, click the D2DCon 9 button at the top right, and secure your spot at the most important event in direct sales. Use promo code podcast to receive a 20% discount on your ticket purchase. That's d2dcon.com, promo code podcast. Now, back to the show. I'm curious though, so you have 2 golden doors in the past, 1 officially, but should have had 2 based off of glass on roof and solar. So talk me through those years. Let's go back to pest.
Yeah.
Was that something that like you set out to do? Like, oh, I'm going to get a golden door, and your decisions were based around that? Or did that just happen because like as a byproduct of just like being a badass?
No, dude, it was definitely a decision. Okay. So like my first summer I did 227 accounts. Then I did 407, 507. So like, I was good. The talent was definitely, I had talent. Okay. But it wasn't until my 4th summer, like I set the goal for 1,000, I was willing to knock 7 months to hit my goal. I'd never knocked more than 4. I was willing to do it in 7. I wanted to do it in 6 because I was going to have baby number 2. But anyways, long story short, I committed to it, and I took everything in my life and I, angled it towards hitting a golden door, everything. And it's interesting because, I'm a big believer, kind of like what I was saying, of being more deserving. And so, I believe that I became 1,000 level rep, and that's why I hit 1,000, Yeah. And so like, dude, if you look at like what the golden doors are doing, and if you think about what decision would so-and-so make, that's a golden door in this situation. If you keep making decisions like a golden door, you're going to hit a golden door, Totally. And so it was just kind of that thought process. Yeah. I just kept thinking like, what would a golden door do? And I had some really awesome affirmations that year. And I ended up hitting it in 4.5 months. I serviced. Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
My biggest week ever was 37 serviced.
Wow.
And then that year I averaged 50.1 serviced. And so like, it was
crazy. Yeah,
dude, it was scary. Having a goal of hitting 40 accounts a week for 6 months straight, when my best week ever was 37,
That's wild.
Yeah, it took a lot of mental stuff.
What process or system changes did you have to make into your day? Like, what did your days look like to have a goal weekly bigger than what you've done in the past?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was, just understanding that it was possible in the sense of like, I'd done my first 3 summers in San Diego, then I went to Tampa, and there's an extra 15 minutes of daylight. 15 to 20 minutes of daylight every day. So that's an extra 15 to 20 minutes of prime time. You can put a numeric value on that.
Totally.
Okay. That's probably going to be an extra 50 accounts or 100 accounts,
Spread across. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was going to have my own service pro, and then it was going to be more buggy, and then I was willing to knock extra, and if I could shave a half hour off every day, and and it just became all these little things. Like I'd eat the same lunch every day. I had like 6 pairs of the same shirt and shorts. It was I bought 2 iPads on different data plans. Why? Because I didn't want to have to worry about battery.
Yeah.
And number 2 is I didn't want to have to worry about data plan. AT&T doesn't work in that neighborhood, but Verizon does, or T-Mobile does. And so like, I basically took all the annoying things out of sales.
Yeah.
Of like, dude, I just lost a customer because I couldn't finish signing them up. Well, now I have another iPad in the car. I'll just go, hey, I'm so sorry. My iPad's being funny. Let me go grab my other one.
Yeah.
Right. And dude, all of those things just compound. I had like 9 Segways at one point.
No way.
Yeah. You get a flat tire. It's not worth my time to fix it. Just buy a new one.
Yeah.
And just have another one in the box for when the next time I have a Segway issue happens.
Totally.
Because like I probably spent like 5 or maybe even 10 grand on just like all these dumb little things. Probably more like 5. Like I also did coaching. I did some coaching. And yeah, all of those things. I would easily trade $5,000 for
sure.
Go from half a golden door to a golden door.
Totally.
So
yes, eliminated all the little things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
So your time is spent doing the things that actually get you to a golden door. That's pretty smart.
It takes a lot of like thinking ahead for that. You know what I'm saying? Like most people, like they want it, and so they react in the moment. But like, yeah, dude, like it's raining. Is sitting in my car going to help me get closer to my goal or farther away? I don't care that it's raining. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like sitting in my car won't help me get closer.
Yeah.
Right. And so it kept being what's the best thing that I can be doing right now to get me closer to my goal kind of mentality.
Totally.
And so, yeah.
That's amazing. It's a good piece of advice for anyone that's like wanting to hit a golden door this year, is just like analyze your day, look at the areas where there's deficiencies, look at the things that's pulling you away from your goal, like you just said, and correct it. And make sure in the future doesn't happen. I've honestly never heard of anyone having 2 iPads. That's actually really smart.
Yeah.
If you're a producer, I wouldn't recommend, if you're just a rookie right now, you're like, oh, that's going to help me, go buy another iPad. No, don't do that. But if you're a high level producer that's on pace for a golden door, eliminate the small things that can go wrong, maximize your time and energy.
And
I
dude,
love it.
There's so many things that like you can like do to help, just like how long after you ring a doorbell do you wait before you knock? Like if you don't know, anyone listening, if you don't know that exact second count, then you're waiting too long. Okay. And then once you've waited that amount of time, like knock the door, and how much time do you wait again until you leave? And so I found ways to, I'd ring a doorbell. I'd wait 5 to 7 seconds. If I didn't hear any movement inside, I'd knock. I'd wait another 5 seconds. If I didn't hear any movement, I leave. Reason why is because you spent 30 seconds or 45 seconds because you were texting or on, TikTok or whatever on your phone. I spent 12 to 15 seconds at that door. And now,
Yep.
small stuff like that.
That compounds,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
You look at how much time you've shaved off and how many more doors and people you can be in front of. Just that alone.
Other things like I like Zip Fizz, which is like a little powder.
Fizz?
It's like a caffeine powder.
Okay.
But with like a bunch of natural ingredients, whatever. I liked having those because I could have that in my car. Someone gives me a cold water bottle, or I have some water bottles in my car. I can just go, I can go take a Zip Fizz. I don't have to go to the gas station.
Yeah.
That wasted you 15, 20 minutes, but I realized that my time's worth $400 or $500 an hour.
Yeah.
So if you just let's say you wasted a half hour because you picked up your car partner, you did this, you guys used the bathroom, whatever. That just cost you $250 because your time's worth $500 an hour.
Totally.
I'm not willing to spend $250 to go pee at the gas station and grab an energy drink.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I'll pee in a bottle, put it in my trash bag in the back of the car.
Yep.
Be drinking my Zip Fizz on the doors. I wasted 30 seconds while you wasted 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. I know a way that when I was like on the doors, managing teams, a good way that I would gauge like this person's a killer is their pee bottles, in the back of their car.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, dude. Get a big gulp, keep it. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Good point.
So anyways, I guess just being like super like detail oriented and super focused,
Totally.
If people aren't calling you crazy, then you're probably not going crazy enough.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Or obsessed.
Yeah.
Looking back on your early days, did you have any mentors that really like paved the way for you? Or were you just like, here's the doors, here's the pitch, here's the product, off you go?
Yeah, actually. So like I said, dude, I started at Active and dude, I freaking love those guys. My regional, his name was Judd Ray. Shout out to Judd. You know, I wouldn't say that Judd like taught me my pitch. I would say that my pitch is pretty self-learned, you know, but there were definitely some, you know, some hard days or some hard moments where Judd or Tosh McIntosh, who's now the senior president of sales over Active, like where I texted them or I called them and they really helped me through it.
Yeah.
You know, so I would definitely say like, you know, Judd and Tosh, they're some of my mentors, you know. Yeah, I'd probably go, you know, my coach, actually his name's Kirk Williams. He was Chase Williams, who used to be president of sales at Active. Like, you know, I did coaching with his dad. Mason Bodie, who's the chief sales officer over at Ambia. Like, you know, and that's where I was working. Like, dude, I love those guys, you know, and they've helped me a lot. I think having good people in your corner definitely helps.
It's huge. Looking back in your career, can you remember a time or a season where it was just hard, just challenging, everything, whether it be selling, recruiting, whatever it is, was just an uphill battle? And if you can remember a time like that, how did you overcome it?
How do you overcome it? Okay. I can think of a lot of times like that. And I think it's just having something passionate that you're working towards, you know, like, yeah, it's kind of a hard one, but like, if you're not working towards anything, it's hard to feel like you're actually like accomplishing something. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It gets really routine-y. You know what I mean? It's just monotonous. It's like, why am I doing this type of a thing versus like having something in the forefront of your mind that you set out to do. That's the motivating factor behind basically every decision you make. So if you don't have that, you're just kind of like, maybe I'm going to just spend a minute at this door and wait for someone to answer versus like, no, it's been 7 seconds, knock, knock, 7 seconds, boom, to the next door. Maybe I am going to go to that gas station and pee, maybe see if they have any hot food there. And then before you know it, you're way behind.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I think, you know, just having something that you're passionate about, that excites you, that gets you to like work harder and work more, you know, I think that's a super big thing that's helped me get out of, I wouldn't say ruts, but like I've had some times where I've been like really sad and depressed. And it's typically, you know, a couple months after I've done the big thing. I hit the golden door and then it's like, okay, I've got the off season. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'll try to buy a property and fix it up, or I'll try to do this, but yeah, I think it's just having something bigger that you're working towards, you know, also making sure that you're living in alignment with yourself and with the environment that you're in, you know, alignment with yourself, meaning be trying to like improve you one way or another. Alignment with the environment that you're in is, you know, just make sure that the people around you are wanting what you're wanting. And if not, like it's hard, but like maybe we need to find some different people to be around. Totally. This may be too personal of a question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Yikes. Because no, it's nothing crazy. Because I imagine you and your wife, you know, your family, you have like, you mentioned 5-year plan earlier. You know, you had a big why with those golden doors. Yeah. But besides the golden doors, is there anything like in life that you've just like has been like an underlying why for you that is like, because you've obviously had a very successful career in every phase or every element you went to, whether it's solar, you got golden doors, you know, ProForce, you're growing the hell out of that thing. You've got golden doors and pests, but like besides those golden doors, is there anything else that's just been a big motivator or why for you? Yeah. I think, you know, and this is going like way back, but like, I don't know, a part of me wants to say like, you know, being a finisher, you know, like back in high school, you know, I got foot surgery right before my sophomore season. And so they cut me from the team, but for football. Okay. But it was one of those things where like they cut you, but like they also said you can come to practice. Huh? They cut you because you got foot surgery? Well, I moved to South Jordan in like right before my freshman year. So they didn't see me growing up. Okay. Right. And then I got foot surgery before my sophomore year and I didn't recover as quickly as I thought I would. And so, you know, and I wasn't going to like, you know, I wasn't trying to give excuses. I just wasn't where I wanted to be. And so anyways, they were like, hey, you can come to practice. And like, I knew it was one of those things where it's like anyone who showed up to the practices would like be on the team. But I was just, I don't know. I just didn't. You know, and then basketball, you know, I really liked it, You know, I played in the middle school team. And then, you know, as a junior, I started playing a lot of basketball and I was getting to try out for the team. And first day of tryouts, like I was just gassed and I started talking negatively to myself. And, you know, I just walked out of tryouts you know, but it was dumb because like the coaches they asked, oh, where'd the kid in the red shirt go? You know, because like they'd seen me at all the camps and they'd seen me play one-on-one against like the starters and like I could hold my own. And so I walked out and I think I would have made the team. And so, and even on my mission, you know, like I was, you know, 21, 22 months, like, you know, super letter of the law kind of thing. And I became more spirit of the law my last couple of transfers, which I actually think was the best like thing for me for my mission. But like, I just kind of, I don't know, dude, like I didn't like this narrative that like I wasn't a finisher, you know, and that was a narrative that I had for myself, you know, and it was like, I had enough data points where it was like, things come easier to me than they do like a lot of others. Like day one, day two, year one, like I felt like I could figure things out like way quicker than your average person. But then ADHD kicks in and once other people catch up, then I start looking for the next thing instead of like being dominant at this, you know? And so I don't know, I just kind of, I've made it a point to always be the hardest worker, you know, even being off the doors, you know, like in January, dude, I had 3 out of the 4 weeks in January where I had 100-hour plus work weeks. That's 16, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know? And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I never want to fail or lose because of effort, if that makes sense. Like, if it comes down to talent, like, I'm not the most talented. And I know that, right? But, like, I can control what I can control. And, like, work and, you know, work ethic and effort, you know, are things that I can. And so, I don't know. I've changed my narrative so that way, like, I am a finisher. Like, every single month of my career has been better. August is always my strongest month of the summer. And then September, when I do postseason, is always even stronger, you know? So when other people are puttering out and, you know, I don't know, like burning out, I don't, you know? And it's just a choice. So
totally.
I don't know.
It's a choice. And I feel like everyone in every phase of their career, whether you're a sales rep right now, whether you're leading a team, 2 teams, 3 teams, president of sales, you know what it is you can control.
Yeah.
You know exactly what it is you can control, and you just got to just double down on those things 100%. But another question for you that I'm actually excited to ask is, I asked you about the challenging time of your career. Now I want to hear about, like, if you look back, I mean, it sounds like maybe right now with ProForce, but you look back on your whole career, every season of it, what's been your favorite season? You had the most fun, things were clicking easy, making progress. You're just like, you know, one of those, you're like, wait, this is rad. You know what I mean? Or you don't realize it until you look back and you're in a hard time. You're like, that was so fun, those 6-month stretch, whatever it is. But yeah, what would you say is been the highlight, most fun season of your career?
I mean, there's a few for sure. It's definitely right now. Okay. But my favorite times throughout my career have always been the times where I've been working the hardest.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I think back to my 2019 pest control team where I ended up winning the one-on-one championship at my company.
Nice.
And my team ended up losing in second place. And it was like, dude, my favorite times were when I was just like freaking going wild, you know, and putting in extra time.
Yeah.
You know, people don't like the job. Well, it's because you're not putting in enough time. A lot of people want to, you know, if they're struggling, they want to like take a break from the job when it's like, if you actually put more time into it, funnily enough, you'll stop struggling. So anyways, that's a weird little, you know, golden nugget right there. But yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, the last 12 months of my life, like with ProForce, I joined ProForce in August. Okay. It's September 22nd. I've been with ProForce for like 13 months in a week. Okay. Dude, it has been hell. It has been a grind. I can see why a lot of companies have multiple presidents of sales. But dude, it has honestly been amazing. Like I don't know how else to say, like, it is the most scary thing to be in charge of, you know, helping so many people. Yeah. And there are certain things that like are super out of my control, which also kind of sucks. But like, it's also the biggest honor, you know?
Totally. I agree.
And so, yeah, one of the reasons why I work those 100-hour weeks, or one of the reasons why, you know, I go as hard as I do is just because like, I don't want anyone to be able to say, you know, I'm out here working and you're not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, kind of a weird little thought. I'm actually, it's been hard and sad not going through the natural progression of becoming a divisional and then a regional and then a, you know, a VP and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I feel like there were some lessons or some like experience that I could have gained had I gone a more traditional route.
Sure.
Right? But I also feel like there's a lot of like negative things that get picked up along the way.
Totally.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, I would say, I don't know why I was just barely wanting to include that in, but like, you know, it's been really cool being able to come in as a sales rep at heart, right? And, you know, being able to look at all the things that I've hated about the industry in the past and like trying to redirect that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. This last year has been amazing, and it's, dude, it has been so freaking hard. And I know it's going to continue being hard, but yeah, I mean, one thought that I have, and I talk about it on my podcast often enough, is like success compounds. Like you don't understand how important your success is now to what you have in the future.
Totally.
You know? I would have never, like my first golden door was the reason why I had the confidence in my second golden door. Totally. Because my second golden door was way harder. And then my third one was way harder. And then my fourth one, or what should have been my fourth one, was way harder.
Yeah.
And so just compounding. And then because of the success that I'd had, I felt confident to have a podcast and like people would actually come onto it. And then because of that, you know, I was able to, like, everything has just been like a step up because I keep stepping up. So I'm like, I don't know, most people don't realize how important their success right now is to their success later.
100%.
So I mean, dude, I'm talking about stuff. I'm answering questions you're not asking.
It's great. No, I love it because it makes me think, and it's very interesting and intriguing and thought-provoking, and I'm sure for listeners as well. So kind of you take the last 12 months where you've just been growing ProForce, right? You've been bringing people on, which is a big burden, right? Because I don't know, I feel like people that have good hearts that recruit to an organization, they take it personally, the success or failure of those individuals, right? It's like, I mean, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's like you want them to have the best experience. So if you look at the last 12 months and you've grown ProForce so much, do you find that you get more satisfaction in those years where you're focused on yourself and your volume and hitting golden doors, or more satisfaction when you're a company man, growing the company and you have all these people that you brought on and they're doing well? What do you feel like is more satisfying to you and drives you harder? So having done both now, sorry. Yeah.
So my immediate answer is helping others. Like, just you can have so much bigger of an impact, you know? And like, whether you hit a golden door or you don't, like, it's transactional. Like, totally. it helps yourself and like your resume and your future, and it helps the company a little bit. But like, I don't know, when you're doing it on like a bigger scale, like it's way more rewarding. Okay. But I also have the exact opposite thought, in the sense of like, my biggest years of self-growth and like self-development were those times when I, you know, was just in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Like, the doors can be like a refiner's fire. Totally. You know? And you be like, the best I've ever been as a human were those times when, you know, I was hitting those golden doors, you know, but not like in that period of life, but like, no, when I was actually going for it. Because you start looking at like, you know, hey, can I fill up a person's tank of gas? Or can I give, you know, some homeless guys asleep? Can I drop a $5 bill right next to him? He doesn't need to know it's me, you know, but just little things that like add more good karma to your life. Because like filling up a tank of gas, like, it doesn't do anything, but what it tells me is like, I'm the type of person that deserves to win, you know? And so I don't know, sometimes I do miss the grind of controlling what you can control. Yeah. You know, because even when I'm controlling what I can control and I'm helping others, if they're not controlling what they can control, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, I don't know, I gave two exactly opposite answers, but personally, you know, there's a lot of growth when you're just like doing it for you. Totally. But like, also overall, like, hands down, it's way better like when you can help that many people, if that makes sense, in their journey of growth.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I reflect on those times where, you know, you're just focused on your personal volume. And I don't know, it's interesting because it's like, there's things that you can control in the recruiting and building element. And it's a lot less than what you can control when you're focused on personal volume. But I just was reflecting on, like, I remember like very vividly the evening I drove home after my final sale of my biggest month of my career. And I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that whole month, really. I'll never forget that feeling. At the time in my career, obviously, it was my biggest month to date. Like, it was awesome. Like, it was like the most satisfying feeling.
There is no better feeling than being able to just be like, dude,
I just did that.
I did it.
I just did that. Right. It is the seller's high is a real thing. Like, you're just like, wow, man. And it's like crazy. You're almost like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
You remember like those first meetings you have at your first company, and you're just this big-eyed aspiring rookie, and you see all these big dogs. Like, I want to be like them.
That first time, like, one of the big guys was nice to you.
Yes.
And, like, yeah, dude. I
totally. And you have that feeling. And then I skip a few years ahead, where I was kind of in a phase where you are at, where you're just doing big things on a company level. You're really growing an organization. And I had a very similar experience where I just brought on one of my good buddies who's going to bring on about 80 to 100 solar accounts per month. And I remember just going home, and I was just driving, and it was very similar, but also very different at the same time. Very different.
It's more of a proud thing. It's like a proud instead of being like prideful, which
yes
is, and it's interesting using that same word, but like, when you did it, like, you know, you're prideful in yourself and your actions, but being proud of somebody else, and also knowing that you helped them in that journey, and like, dude, it's cool. It's an amazing feeling.
It's an amazing feeling, but it doesn't stop. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I guess it doesn't stop in both. You can have a great month, great day, great week, great quarter, whatever. Go to bed, wake up, you gotta do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same thing with growing a company. It's like, you can just, you know, you can double the sales volume in the course of a month. Feels great, cool. Your owners are patting you the back. Everything's great. You've been a great addition to the company. Wake up, got to keep growing, you know? So it doesn't really stop, but they are very different in that regard. And some people are just really good at one, and some people are really good at the other. And it's very rare when you have someone that's both. But for you, I would assume you probably don't knock too much nowadays, right?
No. I miss the doors.
Yeah.
You know, but no, I can't.
How do you stay sharp? Because I'm assuming as president of sales, you're still giving sales trainings, you're still giving sales advice. It doesn't leave you. I bet if you were to go out right now and knock doors the rest of the day, you'd probably sell a bunch. How do you keep those skill sets sharp for those moments when you have to train and teach your people?
Yeah, well, I feel like my biggest strengths are more like mindset and like in that kind of stuff. So like, that's easy enough.
Sure.
But also, I don't know, one interesting thing about me is I'm not prideful in the sense of like, dude, I want, you know, other people's feedback. Like, I want, when we're planning for like a team lead meeting or for these other things, like, I'll call up team leaders and I'll be like, hey, dude, you know, what do you think? You know, what would be some good topics? Like, what would be beneficial for your guys? Yeah. You know? And so, I don't know. I'm not sure if like, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm like the sharpest. You know, I know that there's other people in the industry that are, you know, probably more tactically sound with sales. You know, I kind of have an interesting style where I'm very like analytical, and I can see the small little shifts and all that. So I don't know. How do I stay sharp? I think ultimately it's, you know, being humble and being willing to trust other people. And also just realizing like who your audience is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. With rookies, you know, you need to build the skeleton before you build like the rest of the body, you know? And so you just need to focus on the absolute like bare bones, right? And then with other reps, like, I'm a big believer that like the majority of what's going to take people to the next level is not actually sales skill. Like, I do have a lot of sales skills, and I can give like a lot of secret sauce and one-liners and like strategy when this, that, and the other, right? But like, dude, how hard is it? Like, if you're trying to double your sales, like going from 500 to 1,000, can you really double how good you are at sales? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, can somebody who's in the NBA, can they really double their shooting percentage? Probably not. Yeah. You know, but like the top dudes it's more of like a mentality and a mindset kind of thing that they adopt and that they take over. And yeah, so I feel like I'm much more helpful with those things. So how do I stay sharp? Dude, I have a lot of experiences to talk about. I don't know if I'm the most up to date. I don't know. Being honest, like an insecurity of mine is like, you know, the imposter syndrome.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
totally. It's so
like,
real.
dude,
who am I?
Dude, yeah. I remember being, you know, I remember wanting to recruit and not, you know, and then getting bitter about it. Right. And now it's like, you know, talent and timing. I feel like ProForce is so amazing that it's more a timing thing as to why we're having success. And yeah, I have a tiny bit of talent, but yeah, dude, it's a constant fear of mine of like, am I good enough to help others? You know? And so that's why, you know, I work so freaking hard because like, you know, talent alone won't do it for me. Yeah. You know, and I don't know. I think it's also kind of cool. You know, I've been off the doors for a year and a half. You know, no one in the company has been off the doors for more than 2 years at this point. You know, wow. A lot of people, this is their first year off the doors, you know, and, you know, most of our leaders are still in the trenches. Yeah. So it is easy when, you know, everybody is still so in the thick of it. You know, we're not some company who's been around for, you know, 19, 20 years. And, you know, the regionals have been off the doors, you know, since these kids were in elementary school. You know what I'm saying? Totally. So I don't know. Sorry for, once again, the terrible answers to the questions that you're not asking, but.
No, it's all good. Everything's valuable. I appreciate everything you've been saying. Kind of to wrap up here, I have a question for you. If you were to get a call today with a job offer, completely separate from our industry, that you could not refuse, had to take it. You and your wife are just like, got to take it. So your days in door-to-door are over, and you're to reflect the last, decade? Door-to-door? Decade? What would be your biggest takeaway over the last decade?
My biggest takeaway?
From your time in door-to-door sales.
Ooh, okay. My biggest...
Or takeaways.
Yeah, my biggest takeaways.
Lessons learned that it was just keep with you the rest of your life. It's a hard one. It
is.
I like to ask, if you're 10 plus years in the podcast, you're going to get asked that question. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah. I just think like, I mean, I'm thinking back to my affirmations, okay? That started back in 2019. I am 1,000 level rep. God and the universe want me to hit 1,000 accounts. I can't control what other people think of me. I can only control my own actions. Okay.
Fire.
I am 1,000 level rep. I started saying that before I hit 1,000 accounts. Why? Because I was acting like 1,000 level rep. And so therefore I would end up like, if you make the 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, like eventually is going to equal out to the number you want. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, you know, I kind of spoke that into existence. Yeah. I think this is the biggest thing and why I started thinking about this. I think the biggest takeaway is like trying to understand that like you don't have to have it all figured out, but you do kind of want to have an understanding of like what direction you're going. Like I believed I was supposed to hit 1,000 accounts for a lot of different reasons. And I believed that because those reasons, a lot of them were to take care of my wife and my family. I'm a big believer that, you know, God and the universe will bless me for my righteous, you know, for my righteous desires. Right. And so because the reason I wanted to hit 1,000 accounts was for something righteous, then, you know, it was like, hey, God and the universe, I truly believed that they wanted me to hit my goal. And so I just had to get out of my own way, which is why I knocked so many doors. Right. And then, yeah, it kind of all loops into, you know, control what you can control. Like ultimately there's so many things that will give you anxiety and so many things that you can't control. Like, I don't know, if you want to perform at a top level, you just need to be able to like pinpoint, here's what's important, here's what's not. And it like the more granular you can get, like the more atomic, like smaller you can get in the details that you focus on and care about, you know, the better off you're going to end up being. So yeah, I think biggest takeaways are, you know, a lot, you don't have to have it all figured out, but at least, you know, align your actions and what you're doing with where you think you're going. And yeah, you know, be extremely focused on the small things.
It's huge, man. I feel like most people can resonate with that. And whatever the case is, whether it's career related or not, like, I don't think there's ever a situation where you're given a title or you have, duties to perform, whatever it is, and you're like, I got it. Like, I'm that guy. I feel like, or girl, sorry. I feel like a lot of people are just kind of like, whoa, okay. And a recurring theme that you've mentioned, like those shoes, those are cool, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
A recurring theme is just focus on what you can control, and doubling down, tripling down on that, your work ethic coupled with controllables, and you can do a lot of good in this industry, in this world. You can do a lot of good if you just focus on that. And it's probably if people are listening and they're younger in their career, because like, I remember, I think we have a lot of similarities, especially when you mentioned like the early days, like you look at the big dogs or you look at the people that have been doing it for years and the life that they're living, right? And you want that for yourself. So obviously you're young. I got married young too. You're young, you're married, you want to provide, you want to do all the good things. And then 10 years passes by, you're president of sales, doing the big things, flipping real estate, fixing up properties, whatever. And you're just like, whoa, I'm here. I'm here. How did this happen? And how it happens is what you just said. Just believe you're that person, act like you're that person, you're deserving of whatever it is you want, focus on what you can control, and then just work. You just work. I'll never forget the first time, because you've been mentioning talent, timing, work ethic. I'll never forget my first summer. My regional, who I ended up partnering with, this Brenda Solar Dealership, put out a Memorial Day incentive. You get 3 sales, you get a hoverboard. I don't think I didn't do 3 sales in a day up to that point. I did a lot of 2 days.
And this is solar.
This is alarms.
Okay.
Yeah. And I ended up getting 3 sales that day. And it was like one of those like lid raising days for me. I know people are laughing, that's like nothing, but for me it was at the time. I was still a rookie. And I got the hoverboard and I was stoked. And then my manager or my regional posted in our group meeting was like, hard work beats talent, especially when talent doesn't work. And so that was something that stuck with me, something that I was reiterated by you today. So couldn't agree more. It's good meeting you. I'm excited for your future at ProForce. Sounds like you guys are doing big things. Is there anything else you'd like to share for our listeners besides we wrap up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is look at the people that you want to be like and just realize that they at one point were in your shoes, like it is attainable. I could have never gone back and like predicted how my journey was going to go, right? So I don't know. I think the biggest piece of advice is like, don't rule yourself out, and be willing to think bigger and bet on yourself. So that's kind of the final thing. But I will also say, I'm not always the best at uploading, frequent episodes just because I am so busy, but go check out the Summer Sales Podcast.
What about Instagram? Where can they find you on Instagram?
Summer Sales Podcast on Instagram. And then my Instagram is Andy the Bug Guy with 2 Y's.
Andy the Bug Guy.
Andy the Bug Guy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Andy, thanks for hopping on the podcast. I appreciate your time.
Been fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, if you like the podcast, go find his. I'm sure you've got great episodes, but you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, comment your biggest takeaway from Andy today, and we'll see you on the next one. Andy, thanks again for your time.
Thanks. Peace.